Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and I'm joined with Adam Mackey.
Hello.
Morley Kurt.
Hello.
And tonight we have a special guest, Vincent Ferrari.
Howdy.
So, everyone, what have you been clamping on this week? How about we start with Vincent as our special guest?
Oh, sure. I've actually been working on this massive monster of a cutting board. It's been this white whale project that's been on the bench for, I don't know, about a month already. Just kind of fear just kind of kept me from working on it. But it's 20 by 23 and a half, and it's like 1 3/4 inches thick. And it's too big for everything I have in my shop to make it practical to actually work on. So that's what I've been working on. It's a beast. Got to learn how to use the CNC. Got to make the Glowforge to make a nameplate for it. It's just everything I have in my shop has been used on this damn thing, and I just can't wait till it's done and out of my shop and I don't have to look at it anymore because it's like, oh my God. I made the mistake of trying to lift it up and put it on the bandsaw to cut the corners off to round it over, and that was a really dumb idea. The damn thing probably weighs about 12 pounds, and it's like this big, so I'm like trying to maneuver it up onto the bandsaw, and it's just not going. And I did one corner, I was like, nah, screw that, I'm not doing that anymore. And I just took the oscillator and just pushed it into the belt until it took the corners off. I was like, that should do it.
Morley has a favorite saw that he thinks is a portable bandsaw.
Yeah.
Oh,
Should have used a
Japanese
jigsaw.
saw?
No, the jigsaw.
No, the jigsaw would have been bad for that. Because, like, if you can...
Exactly.
straight up and down. I'm not really dying on this hill very well.
Is that a local client, hopefully? Or is that going to be $1 billion to ship?
I don't even want to think about it. It's going to Houston from New York. I don't even want to think about what it's going to cost to ship. I was really stupid when I took it. Look, the guy has been very patient, and it's going to be a beautiful board when I'm done. It's probably going to be the most beautiful board that I've ever made. It's in every way, it's going to be perfect when I'm done with it. I even came up with a way, because I didn't want to use the usual rubber feet on it. So I made these like long beveled pieces of maple with counterboard holes. Like I tried to think of everything to try to make this like super duper premium. And I just did not charge enough money for this board. Like I realized it. Like I didn't plan at the beginning how much of a struggle it would be to make something this large, but now I know, and I pretty much decided I'm never making anything this large again. Without
or just charge like an FU price.
Yeah, so like basically
if they say yes.
The go away price, exactly. The go away. That's what I would call it. The go away price. Like, yeah, as long as you want me to do it, I'm going to make a lot of money off you. He bought 7 boards from me at one time, though. So I guess if I lose a little on this one, it's like, okay, fine. He bought a lot.
Does he have like restaurants, or is he giving them as gifts?
He was giving them as gifts. So he bought one, and then he's like, but I can't just buy one for this sister, and then I had to buy this one for my brother, and then he's like, all right. So he cleaned me out of my inventory and then made me make 4 more. And he said, and don't forget me. And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I'm sure that one's not going to be a wash then. That's a good customer.
No, and he's already talking about other things he wants in the future, so I think I made a good choice in making this board. Even if I break even on this board, which I'll probably make a little money. A lot of the wood was scrap wood and stuff like that. Even though it's a huge board, it was mostly from materials I already had in the shop, so it'll be all right. I'm not going to lose on it. I may break even just from the amount of effort I put in, but I've also learned a lot, so I guess it's a good learning experience.
Yeah, the little inlay you did was really cool.
The nameplate?
Yeah, the nameplate.
I learned that from Bruce. He does that on a lot of his boards where he'll leave like a circle and then he'll cut a coin with his logo on it and drop the coin in. And I was like, the reason I ended up having to do is because I brought it over to the CNC and I put the design into the software, and it comes back and goes, yeah, I can only cut this far into the design with an 1/8 inch bit. And I'm like, oh no. Like I waited like 4 days to get those bits, and I was like, an 1/8 inch bit's not small enough. What do I do? So I was like, okay, I guess it's got to be the laser, but I can't put the board in the laser because it's too big. So, all right, I'll just cut a nameplate and slap it on and hope to God that he likes it. And I sent it to him. He goes, oh, that looks really, really cool. Thank God.
One of those good design coming from a problem.
Yeah, I mean it's a brilliant idea, and I was joking that all my robots work together to make this board a possibility. So
where's really the 3D printer on it?
Nowhere. It's funny you asked though, because I actually almost used the 3D printer to make the feet, and I was like, that
I was going to say little rubber feet.
Yeah. But then I've never dealt with flexibles in either of these guys over here, and it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna learn another new thing on this project. Like 50 new things is quite enough for one project. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's cool. How about you, Morley? What have you been working on?
So last week, Eden was asking me for a patch with Penny's face on it for her backpack. So I made that one afternoon. It was a sort of project where I was like, oh, maybe I'll get started on it this afternoon and then finish it tomorrow. But I started it, got in the zone, and was like, I'm doing this whole thing this afternoon, at least like up until the drying times and the finishing and everything. So that was really fun. Made a video from that. And same with the video editing. Like I just got in the zone with that project. I busted out the video in like 2 days, which is pretty fast for a video edit for me. And yeah, I was really happy with that. I keep telling people it reminds me of the vibe of one of the characters in Isle of Dogs, that sort of like claymation face with the wet eyes. Yeah, I was cool. Pretty happy with that. Thank you.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's and she's really happy about it too, because like she is in love with our cat, and she can now have her wherever she goes and show her off to people.
Yeah.
We also recorded episode 1 of Into the Spotlight with our first guest. It was great. It may be out by the time this episode comes out. I'm gonna wager that it will, but if it's not, then I'm really gonna look silly right now. But yeah, my friend Julia, who just graduated art school, it was a really, really interesting conversation because neither Ryan did a master's program in media and communications, but art school I feel like is a whole different animal, and she's like an incredibly driven, creative person. So it was a really, really cool conversation. I've been friends with her for years, but like had never, that's the cool thing about doing a podcast, right? It's like we had a reason to really dive into her like creativity and all her art. So yeah, that should be dope. Watch out for it.
That's cool. Anything else?
And other than that, just like good amount of computer work. I've been doing a lot of designing on something that I'm not quite ready to announce publicly yet, but if all goes well next week, then maybe I will.
Well, we should like save that for the after show that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Secret stuff. Or just say there is an after show and then everyone's looking for it really hard.
Yeah.
We don't have a blooper to add after the music this time.
Oh, I'm sure we have plenty of time to get a blooper.
I've challenged myself to that a couple of times, like try to do a build, the edit, upload everything in one day, and it's a hell of a job.
Yeah.
The fastest I've done is from 6 p.m. till I released it at midnight. From filming, build, and it's one of my worst performing videos, so I decided I'll never do that again.
Yeah, like, I mean, something Vincent said on Makers on Zoom having coffee a few weeks ago was like really stuck with me. Like, if you're in the mood to do something, do that thing. And it sounds super simple and obvious, but like, it was a sort of thing where I really needed to hear at that moment. And I was like starting the patch, like, I want to work on this the rest of the afternoon, and I'm not going to feel bad about it that I'm neglecting other things. And I want to edit this video this whole day. And it felt great.
Because you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
It feels great until you have a client job that didn't get done because you were doing the thing that you wanted to do instead. It's why I really, really limit the amount of client work I take on. I have to want to do that thing for me to want to take it on.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and like, it's not like the things that I were neglecting were things that could wait, but it was that thing in the back of my head that was like, oh, you need to be giving equal attention to all these aspects of your life, where sometimes you don't really need to do that.
Yeah. It's good advice.
You come to Clamp for the hot takes and the life lessons.
Well, how about you, Adam? What have you been up to? What's in your clamps?
So I've been, I finally finished my tool benches, got that video out. And then next organization was sorting out my kids' bikes. So I made a freestanding bike rack, which is what was on Instagram yesterday. that no
I was
one could
wondering
guess
what
it
that was. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I live in a rental, so like I can't screw to the walls and all that sort of stuff, and I wanted the bikes to hang instead of just be sitting in like something on the ground. So trying to work out a way to do that. So build a box on a box and then filled it with concrete to make it not fall over. And yeah, added the hooks in just this morning and turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it.
That's a really good idea. I need something better for my bicycle storage. I am forever knocking them over or doing something stupid, or they're always in the way.
Well, my biggest problem is that my shop is a 1-car garage and my wife refuses to make it my shop. So it still has to be the garage and have all the bikes and all that crap in it.
Yeah, me too. My wife is okay with me taking it over, but I don't want my bicycle being outside, so.
Yeah.
Mine is propped precariously next to the hot water heater in my basement, and if we walk past it the wrong way, I know it's going to fall, but by some miracle it hasn't fallen yet, so I'll take it.
Very nice.
Mine just lives strapped outside. Weather's all weather.
You leave it outside?
Oh yeah. I mean, but it's cheap. It's so quick story.
So you use it like so much per day, do you not?
Yeah, but it's summer out right now, and I do a lot of maintenance on it. So quick story. I actually biked through an entire Montreal winter every day. I got like a $80 bike off of Craigslist and was just like, I'm going to ride this thing into the ground. And by the end of the winter, it was like a literal hunk of rust. Like, it seems like they don't use quite as much salt here in Toronto, but this thing, like, it survived the winter pretty well. It was like a little rustier, but it's old. It's actually like my sister's old bike that she never used, so it's in pretty good condition.
That's nice.
Yeah.
My bicycle's the same bicycle I got in my graduating year of high school, so
Damn.
I won't tell anyone how long that is, but it's a Super Cycle, so it's a Canadian Tire brand, which is I don't know if Super Cycle's in the States, but Super Cycle's like, or Canadian Tire's like Pep Boys, but if you combine Pep Boys with like Home Depot or something,
and a little bit of Target as well.
Yeah, and a little bit. It's like Target. Yeah.
It's Target, but more useful, I would say.
Yeah,
more
with
hardware.
an automotive focus.
Yeah.
So that's their like brand of bicycle, and you get like a brand new one for $180.
I just bought a brand. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, and I've had it since I was 19.
I bought mine right before the winter got bad in New York, and I've not actually ridden it yet. I bought it in November, and it's not actually had my butt on it, and except to test ride it at the store. And I was like, I'm going to ride this thing like crazy. I'm going to ride it like crazy. And it's like, why did you buy a bike in November? What the hell is wrong with you? Didn't end up riding it. Haven't ridden it yet.
You were following your own advice. You do things when you feel like doing them.
Yeah.
I think November's the perfect time to buy a bike.
Of course. A spur of the moment specialized Cirrus. Brilliant move.
Yeah.
Going into nice warm weather.
Yeah. Okay, Australia.
Oh, I see Australia. It took me a second.
So what's in my clamps, you're asking? Well.
Actually, I wasn't asking.
So anyways, this week I released another video. It's I finally finished redoing the front entranceway to my house, and I did it with some chevrons because I'm against herringbone. I feel like herringbone is the lazy chevron.
Is herringbone chevron, but like each board is offset?
Yeah.
It basically, there's no miter, right?
Exactly. That's why it's the lazy way of doing it.
I like herringbone. Herringbone looks nice.
Sure. I know. It's just.
It looks nice in wood floors, but I guess if it's like an accent wall, it
looks great in accent walls too. I just like to make controversy and try and build something up. It's not working at all. But,
the great pattern wars of 2020.
Yeah. It's such a hard thing to market. This is my least or worst performing video I've released in my past 10 videos. And
wow.
And I think it's a lot to do with I don't know how to market it. the little thing, like the pieces beside your door don't have a name. So no one searches for them. And I couldn't even, like, I tried to find the name for them and I couldn't find it. So if anyone's listening and knows the little pieces beside the door, let me know. They're not side lights because it doesn't have a window.
It is a pretty precise build too.
Yeah. And I'm just going to tell you something, just as someone that watched the video and someone who liked the video. The picture you put, I think it was on Instagram, of it at night.
Yes.
It looked like 1,000 times better than it did during the day.
I've changed the thumbnail.
It catches the light really nice at night. It looks really good at night.
Thank you. I did change the thumbnail after I took those pictures. And that's actually a little shout out to Colt, because he was telling me to put lights in there. BCF leather. And
put some LEDs.
That's right. He was like, you should put some LEDs. And I was like, well, I went like, I'll go look and see. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's not. But I went out there and I was like, no, it actually looks really good at night. So I took a picture. Because otherwise I don't leave my house because of pandemics. The other thing I was working on, I finished my wife's present. It was another set of earrings. This time I used walnut and yellow heart. And I used, I hand carved them. And I think they turned out pretty good. She wore them for like 2 days straight, which is pretty good considering the amount of earrings she has. I was happy to see them the next day. It wasn't just like, oh, thank you, and then they went away forever. So that was really good.
Sweet.
I got a something in the mail.
Oh.
I got an ouch mouse.
Oh, yeah. The cutest ouch mouse.
Yes. The cutest ouch mouse. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that now or if you were trying to weave it into a conversation.
No,
later.
we can. So I'll throw that back at you. I'll leave it to you if you want to reveal exactly what it is, because I don't know what your plans for the project are. But
either do I.
But Grant and I are participating in. Again, shout out to Colt is putting on the. What is he calling it again?
Mystery Maker Collab.
I feel like every time I'm on a podcast, I just forget what things are called. The Mystery Maker Collab. And Grant just received my contribution to what he has to make. So I had a old project that was kind of just sitting around and I wasn't doing anything with it. And I was like, someone else can do something cool with this. So Grant will transform it in some way and send it back to me. And I will do the same with someone else in the challenge.
Are you participating in that, Vincent?
I'm not. And the reason I wasn't is because as everybody was putting it together, I had such a backlog of stuff to get done. I was like, there's no way I could give this the attention it deserves. So I just kind of went, I'm going to have to pass on this one. I'm going to do it. I will do it next time. But this time it was just, the timing was just off for me. Which is kind of sad because y'all changed you got some good stuff changing hands. Like I've seen some cool stuff. I've seen some wood. I've seen some resin. Looks really good.
Yeah. I couldn't put anyone through that postage cost.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. It cost like $50 million to send like an ounce to you.
No, it was actually cheaper to send to Australia than it was to send to Hawaii for me when I did something.
I had someone send me.
You might be closer to Australia than Hawaii. Or is that a garbage take?
I don't think so. No.
I don't know, but if you go eat, I feel like they're both across the world from you. I don't know, man.
From you too. You're you're 5 hours away by car from me. Come on.
You're like 3 hours from me.
Yeah, I live in the same country. All three of you are in the same time code.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Anyways,
I had someone send me an Origami Monkey from Hawaii. It cost him $70.
Oh my god.
A piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent Adam a bottle opener. He won my giveaway on YouTube, and it cost me $12. It took forever, but it cost me $12. So I don't know what's wrong with Hawaii, but apparently it's the most expensive place in the world.
You know how Lindsay is doing the social justice raffle? So I offered to make one of my cutting boards as a giveaway for the raffle, and she's like, "Are you able to ship that internationally?" And I'm like, I don't know. I imagine it's going to be a little bit expensive, but let's see. So I looked in from New York to London via DHL, not Express. It was like $80 just to ship it, like the slowest speed possible. And I was like, yeah, no, Lindsay, I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Like, I can't eat the cost of the board and spend $80 to ship it. I mean, love you insane. Dearly, but no.
Yeah. That's a really cool raffle that's going on, by the way.
It's amazing.
And the great thing is that there are people all over the world that are participating in it. Mm-hmm. So, like, no matter where you are, you can enter to get something cool.
Yeah, I was blown away by this. Somebody put up for 5 tickets from my board, and I was like, oh, wow, that's so nice. And then today somebody put up for 15.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so I've basically sold as much in tickets as I would charge for that board at this point, and I'm just floored. I almost want to get in touch with these people afterwards and just go, listen, if you don't win, I will give you a really substantial discount, like 50% off if you really want one, just because I'm so flattered. Like, my ego has been stroked, and when my ego is stroked, I get in a really good mood real quick. It's like, let me give the farm away. It'll be fine. So,
well, that's super cool. It's on Instagram, Lindsay Creative, and we'll include that in the show notes.
Although it might be over by the time this is posted.
Yeah, it's over the 21st, so yeah.
So you can see all the winners and all the fun stuff. And if
see what you missed out on,
you could just donate to I can't remember what she is donating to, but
we'll have a link in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll include that in the show notes.
Zero is one of them.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of off the top of my
Rebuild
head.
the Block, Campaign Zero. There's a couple, but it doesn't have to even be those. Like, one of my friends has a charity called the Atlanta Black Business Owners Relief, sorry. And I donated to her charity, and that counted for an entry. So it's just got to be a on-topic kind of charity, and you just send her the receipt. But maybe we'll figure something out on Because We Make for this.
There we go. That's right. Okay, and the last thing I did this week is that I went on a conference call for work, and I decided to do it by riding my bicycle to the beach. Is
this a life hack?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a life hack. Is that I found we use a thing at work called WebEx, and I found that you could get it on your phone. So I decided to get on my bike down to the beach, had the conference call while I was at the beach. I'm sure some people, like the few times I spoke, I'm sure I looked like an idiot. And I also probably just looked like a weirdo sitting at the beach by myself. But, whatever.
You were at the beach, man. You were smart one.
I was... Exactly. I was the only... It's actually... So we were doing a team building thing that we do every year at this time. It's always in June, and we always do it at this place called Britannia Beach in Ottawa. And I was the only one who showed up. Everyone else did it from their home. I figured other people might be there and cool too, but they weren't.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But it brings us to today's topic, which is, what do you do for a living? The L in Clamp. So, you don't have to go into exactly what company you work for, because I'm going to keep it pretty generic, because I don't want anyone to figure out my secret identity. But
you work for Canadian intelligence. We all know.
Maybe. But I'm going to talk about what
CIA.
Yeah, the CIA. I work for the CIA, the Canadian Intelligence Agency. But so we wanted to talk a little bit about what we do to make a living. So whether it's selling cutting boards that helps for making your living, or taking photographs, because I think that's what Vincent does for a living. I don't actually know, so we'll find out.
He just slowly shook his head.
So since you mentioned me by name, I do. What I basically do is I do some product photography. I basically do product photography and product packaging design for a company that makes Bluetooth speakers and Bluetooth headphones. That's pretty much what I do. It started out as I was hired to do run their Amazon business and basically do digital marketing and stuff. But we ended up starting to produce our own line of accessories and stuff like that. And they needed help with the packaging. And it was like, well, we need you to do this. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you time. So they gave me about a month to really get the hang of it. And the first few I did were just garbage, but they were adequate. And then it was like, okay, we're rebranding the entire company. So we need you to design a new logo for the company. We need you to build a new identity for the company. And then we need you to make packaging for all the new stuff that matches that identity. And it's like, you do realize I've never done this before, right? And I had to learn on the job. So that's pretty much what I do. Those pretty boxes you see with the pictures of the things and the specs and all that, and the manual that goes into it and all the pretty product photos. That's pretty much what I do for a living now, which is good because I got out of the IT end of the business, which I absolutely despise. So it all worked out. But yeah, that's what pays the bills for me right now. Not counting, obviously, the maker stuff.
And the like residual AOL money.
Oh, Jesus. People love that call.
Yeah. If anyone, just Google Vincent Ferrari AOL, and you can find the call that I'm trying to subtly reference.
It's a wild ride, I'll tell you that much. The call was a lot longer than the videos about the call, I'll tell you that much.
Well, so
Vincent,
go ahead.
I mean this in the least self-promoty way possible, but I think you'll really enjoy this episode 1 of Into the Spotlight because Julia is obsessed with branding. Like that was her focus at art school. And she really kind of like made me think about it and appreciate it. She was joking. She's like, I had to start a new Instagram because I just started following brands because I was so interested in their brand identities. It was like my feed was just one big ad.
Well, I always mention a certain person. I'm not going to mention him on your podcast. I'm just going to bite my tongue and not say his name because I say his name constantly, but he focuses on branding and brand identity and that kind of stuff. And it just got me so obsessed with it, which is why now every time we do something in the company, like my work, when he started really focusing on that, my work at work got a lot better because it really just focused me on stuff that I never even noticed before. Like stuff like color. You don't
like the color of his t-shirt? Like he wears the same color every time?
But, that's very subtle.
You can name names. It's okay to name names in a positive way.
But we
just don't name names if it's negative.
We went from purple to blue, right? One of the reasons it went from purple to blue was because we wanted to create a kind of intermingling with our parent company. The company had a purple logo. We don't quite know why. It was just a purple logo. And it's like, this has no connection to the other company. So we kind of stylized the new logo to complement the parent company logo. And it was something that was very important to them. It's like, we want the companies to kind of look like they're not identical, but like related. And it was like, wow, we never thought about stuff like this before. And now we're thinking about the color and the package, the way the pictures are positioned on the packaging and the font. You'd be amazed how many little things you don't think about until you get it put in front of you and like, yeah, come up with a brand identity. Well, what's a brand identity, right? Is it the logo? Well, yeah, that's part of it. It's also the fonts. It's the colors. It's the shape of the packaging. It's down to, I mean, they would send us samples from China of different cardboard. It's like, which cardboard do you like for your packaging? It's like, I've never thought about the cardboard in the packaging. And now when I pick up something, I'm like, this is garbage. It's like, it's a hell of a weird industry to be in, but
it's funny because I don't think about it when I'm packaging something up. Like as I heard, I've listened to a bunch of the back catalog of Because We Wake, and one of the episodes you talk about this exact like packaging and picking out, not getting the standard FedEx box from the store or whatever. And I've never thought about it for what I've sent out in the past, but I definitely think about it when I receive something. So it's like one of those, like the two things didn't connect in my brain.
Yeah. It's like the red pill from the Matrix, too, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like when you work with it all day long, you know what? One of the examples that we use is, so our manufacturers are in China, And for most of the products we make, these are products they already make, but they do make them for other companies. So what they do is they'll put them in these cardboard boxes, and usually what it is it's a generic, like a cityscape with a pretty woman that's not even holding the device. And then the device is just photoshopped over it with everything else in the background. And, that packaging costs like, 30, 40 cents to make, right? So we come in and we say, no, we're going to redesign the packaging. We're going to get our own die lines for all this. We design the packaging. Our packaging may cost us like $1.20, but it allows us to mark the product up significantly higher than what these guys are buying it from in China. And when we present our product as a product line and all the boxes are coherent and cohesive, and it's a unique thing that looks premium and the cardboard feels nice, and they open the box and it's not the blow molded plastic and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, I can kind of see. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they get. That's exactly it.
For the viewers at home, Adam was holding up a box from Newer, which
they're terrible at packaging.
Yeah, but they're also cheap.
Yeah, but they make great stuff.
A cardboard box with their name on it. No picture, nothing.
They make great stuff. I know they do.
Yeah, I've got lots of Newer. I think I can't remember what this microphone is, but my tripod's Newer. Like the time I got an Amazon Basics tripod and a Newer tripod, and they come in like the same crappy, like Amazon Basics. It's crap. Like the packaging's crap and whatever. They came the same packaging, but the Newer one is way better. They have the worst name in the world, though.
Yeah, perfect example, right? Is like Beats by Dre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
people like audiophiles all over the world are like, "Oh, these are the worst garbage headphones." And like, I'm not hating on Beats by Dre, but like they mark up their prices because they focus so much on marketing and branding. And if you get like a Sennheiser pair of really nice monitor headphones, they're just they don't spend as much on their marketing, but it might be for a comparable price.
Yeah, we're working right now on a set of smartwatches from a company, and it's like, oh, okay, these are meant to be sold on Amazon because they have no packaging to speak of. So we are going to redesign.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so the stuff that comes from Amazon looks like the Newer boxes, and we're trying to move this company into brick and mortar with this particular item. And it's like, okay, so if we're going to move these into brick and mortar, well, you need to rotate the watch box because the watch box is designed to look like this, right? This is my calipers, but I'm showing it on screen, but it's a wide, narrow box, right? But if it's a watch that's going to be in brick and mortar, they're going to want a hang tab, and it's going to hang this way on hooks. There's no hang tab on their packaging. The packaging is designed the opposite way that it would hang on a shelf. And it's all these things that you don't even think about. Like, yeah, in Amazon, it doesn't matter because it's on a shelf, in a box, in a bin, whatever. But in a retail store, it's got to be presented so that the face of the product is showing so that a customer can see it. And this is, like I said, I never thought about any of this until I started doing it. And it's like, now it's all I think about. Like I walk through a store and I'm like, that's just terrible packaging. Like I would do that. Or the other thing you do is you walk through the store and you're like, you start taking pictures of everybody's packaging going, yep, I'm going to start using that idea. That's a good one. I like the way they did that. Or I like that design.
It's just like what I do when I see a YouTube video with a really cool special effect. Like any Paul Jackman videos, I just I'm going to steal that one.
By the way, you did a really good job. That was the first time you did that, right?
Which, the two people?
The 2 grants, yeah.
No, I've done 2 grants before.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to drink my
You casual, Vincent.
But this is the longest conversation 2 grants have had together. And that made it
I haven't seen the video, and just that statement makes me really want to watch it.
2 grants, 1 cup.
Oh. All right, so we're going to move on. So how about Adam? How about you tell me, what do you do? And you can skip any of the NDAs because no one listens. Don't worry about it.
The NDAs are more like the actual working of the company. But so I don't know how to word it because here in Australia it's like completely different. But so my position is actually a train guard, which I guess in America would be a conductor. Maybe because even here it's confusing. I say train guard and people are like, "Oh, you're a police officer on the train." It's like, no,
that's what I would have thought too.
No, so essentially, I'm at the back of the train. I'm at the back of the train. We pull up to a station. I open my door. I open the doors for the customers. I blow my whistle. I close the doors, and then I tell the driver to go. That's pretty well it. And then while we're moving in between stations, I watch YouTube. But I've got like security cameras and stuff and all that sort of stuff. So I've seen a lot of things.
All right. Well, now you have to tell us one of those things.
I'm very curious about this lot of things.
You have.
I've been on a train. And
I don't want to make the podcast explicit.
Well, how would you tell us about the time that it wasn't explicit?
They were all explicit.
Yeah.
What happens on the train stays on the train.
I've seen a lot of Friday night, Saturday night meetups, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I once had so our carriages here are 2 stories, or double deckers. I once had a group upstairs and a group downstairs in the same carriage having an orgy, and they didn't know about each other. But there was 2 orgies going on in the same carriage.
What?
One upstairs, one downstairs. Yeah. And they didn't even know about each other.
Well, no, the crazy part is you have a train with 2 stories.
Oh, we have that in Boston.
We have those in New York.
Come on, guys. I was joking.
I once had a guy packing little baggies of sugar.
Oh, that's a sugar, you know.
Yeah. So question, when you see these things, are you the person that has to confront the people?
No. So I then call security, who then calls the police.
Got it.
If I was to then go out to them and they were to hit me or bash me or whatever, I'm then in trouble for leaving my safe zone. I'm not a police officer or anything like that. That's why I hate the name guard, because I'm not a guard.
Yeah.
I don't guard anything. It's not even my job to watch the cameras. We just have them like for assistance.
Gotcha.
So then what is your job between stations?
Sit there.
Okay. Wait for the next station.
So there's more to it. Like I'm also like the train's electrician and mechanic, and so like if there's an issue on the train, like with the actual train, I like try and fix it if it's in my ability with what I have. If not, then we call someone to come do it. But
that's way cooler. We should talk about that. When was the time a train broke down, man? What happened?
Okay, so I've been in my job for 5.5 years. I've had 1 fault.
Really?
That's why I don't talk about it. It's funny because we have like a Facebook. No, not really though, because we have like a Facebook group with like a work Facebook group where people talk about stuff, and there are people out there that have had faults like every few weeks. I've just been lucky enough that I've only ever had one. Well, one that I've had to deal with, and that was the doors wouldn't close. So I then had to go. It's called isolate the doors. So like you take the power away from the doors, close them manually, lock them, and then like you just can't use those doors for the rest of the day until it gets fixed in the maintenance center.
Can you come to Ottawa? Because our light rail system has that exact problem, and it shuts down our entire city every time it happens.
Yeah. Well, we just got
every day.
We just got a metro system, and it's all driverless and guardless. Like there's no crew on there at all. But it only goes between 6 stations at the moment. It costs them like, I don't know, billions of dollars. They went way over budget. And same thing. If there's an issue, there's no one there to fix it.
Oh, we have people.
The whole network just shuts down.
But the whole thing just shuts down. It's been an embarrassment to live in my city. But and I guess that's like a metro or whatever. Like it's not a real train. It's a light rail.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, our government got rid of light rail 10 years ago. No, 6 years ago. And then they've just rebuilt it.
Oh.
In the exact same spot.
Yeah.
This isn't efficient. Let's get rid of it. By the way, can we have it back?
Oh, God.
Yeah, welcome to the Australian government.
Dang. Mic drop.
Wow. Well, that's it. That's fun. So, then I guess we'll go over to Morley. Who's going to have exciting things to say because he has all the jobs. All of them.
Yeah, apparently I've had a lot of different jobs.
He's working since he was like 6.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start the story at university.
Which job do I start at?
By which time I already had 15 jobs. But I went to school for civil engineering. I'd always kind of I wanted to be an architect for a long time, or I don't know, a period of my childhood. My mom's an interior designer, so like love of houses is always been in my family. It was actually great. My parents saw that in me as a young kid, and they actually took me on a trip to Chicago with the Boston Architectural College to look at a bunch of like Frank Lloyd Wright architecture, which was incredible. But I got more into like math and science in high school, and kind of that specifically civil engineering seemed really interesting. I was like, oh, building big, cool things like bridges, skyscrapers. This looks awesome. And it was like the degree was super interesting. It is a massive part of why I got more into making things, because I felt like empowered to see projects through to the end. And at the end of my degree, my girlfriend Edith and I, we got a job working at an off-grid lodge in the Rockies for the summer. And it worked out perfectly because I also got a job in Toronto working at a civil engineering firm that would start right when we were finished. So it was a pretty drastic change of pace, because at this off-grid lodge, I was like doing maintenance, living at like Rockies elevation. I think it was either 6,000 feet or 6,000. No, it was 6,000 feet, because 6,000 meters would be incredibly high. Yeah, that's like Everest.
I lived on K2 for a little while. It was amazing.
No, but it was a really incredible summer, and it was hands-on the whole time. I mean, I learned how to fix vacuum toilets. So like if a vacuum toilet ever breaks in a plane, like I will be probably the only person that will be able to fix it. They're actually amazing mechanisms, and they've gone through like all these generations, like from the 70s until today, or maybe probably earlier. And it's honestly fascinating how they work. They're entirely mechanical, no electricity. That's cool. Yeah, super cool.
Toilets are cool.
Toilets are cool. Actually, even non-vacuum toilets, like they're really cool mechanisms.
They really like the fact that they're non-electrical, like that it's a mechanical system, is really cool.
Yeah, and so reliable.
Right. And that's why I don't like Teslas, but we don't need to get into that.
Yeah. And then so I got to, sorry, go on. Sorry, Adam.
You and Aiden worked together?
Yeah. So it was an amazing situation. So our mutual friend at school had worked at this lodge in the Rockies, and she kind of was like, they're best friends, and she proposed it to Ian. She's like, they're also always looking for maintenance people. And she knew that like I was very hands-on and engineering background and whatever. So we applied as a couple, and they were like, oh, we haven't really done this before. We haven't really hired a couple before, but like we were both very strong applicants, and it worked out, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, getting back to Toronto was like crazy change of pace. Like for one, moving to a big city. And then I was working in the civil engineering firm, in the project management department. I got pretty interested in project management at school because I've like think of myself as a generalist, and project management, you see like all the sides of civil engineering. And I was like, this could be perfect. So I got into this position at a company that focuses on residential land development for subdivisions. So that's basically designing the sewers, designing the water systems, all the grading, everything like that. And basically acting as the project managers for the projects themselves. Massive, massive projects, especially in an area like Toronto, which is seeing so much development, or the greater Toronto area. And it was a fantastic workplace, great people, but it did not feel right. I felt early on like I was kind of not in the right place. And I was like really trying to tell myself, like, you just need to give this its due worth. You've only been here a couple months. You can't make a judgment at this point, but I couldn't ignore this like deep down feeling I had that like I am in the wrong place for what I want to do in my life. And like the years leading up to that, I'd gotten so interested in like working for myself and making and like artistic design and running my own business. Like I had listened to tens of episodes of How I Built This, and they were like the most fascinating stories I'd ever heard. Fantastic. Shout out to How I Built This. Like every episode is a banger. Basically just the stories of entrepreneurs and founders of companies. Yeah. And I ended up leaving the job after only like 3 months. And it was a super hard decision because like I haven't really quit many things in my life. And I felt like just hearing that statement and hearing myself say it, it's like, oh, you're only there for 3 months. But I had like a couple moments where I was like out at a bar in Toronto and I was like, I feel like I'm becoming a yuppie too fast and I don't want to be a yuppie yet. So I was like, all right, I'm young. I have very low expenses. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. Now is the time to kind of like take a risk and try something else. Yeah. So I left the job kind of right as December started. Took some time to do a lot of leatherworking, started getting more into commission work. And luckily that summer I'd spent almost zero money. I was making money, but our room and board came out of our paycheck at a very, very reasonable rate. So I had a nice little cushion that I could pay my living expenses with. And then after the holidays, I kind of realized like, you know what's super cool? Building props, building sets, working in the TV industry. Like that's something that I've always thought is amazing, but I never seriously thought about pursuing for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure we could delve into the psychology of that one, but considering length of time, I started after kind of that time in the holidays, I started applying to places in Toronto, which has a massive film industry, and got like a really good response, surprisingly. So I started working at a set building company. They do stuff for TV, for movies. They also do like events, experiential marketing in museums.
Is there anything you've done that you think someone might have seen? Like, is there something you built that you can go onto a TV and go, I made that.
So all of the Star Wars.
I started there at the end of January and was really only there for about a month and a half. And the work slowed down. They thought I was going to be put on another project, which didn't happen. And then COVID hit. So I was only really worked on 3 projects, one of which was a large event for a very large corporation in Canada, some commercials, and a museum here in Toronto. So probably maybe the commercial. But
okay, what commercial? What was it? I want to know.
It was for in the child care industry, baby care, infants. Wow. Regardless, though, like working with very talented carpenters in a full level production shop, and like I could work on my own stuff. I could use all their like, full size table saws, paint booths. Really awesome setup. And around the same time,
do you know the story of Nick Offerman?
Yeah, well, I kind of know how he started his shop, but what were you gonna? Well, for the viewers, what is?
Well, you know, Nick Offerman, guy from Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson. You know, he started out building sets. You know, and that's the really kind of cool thing that I think of when Anyways, I'll talk about him later because he was my recommendation. He's going to be in the Clampmendations section, but he was an inspiration for me to start woodworking.
Yeah, same. Honestly, it's a really cool industry.
Yeah,
you get to do like all sorts of stuff, and because you have to make a thing look like another thing. You may make a set that's like framing a house. You might make something that needs to look like a rock, but it's made out of wood. So in my mind, I was like, if anything, I'm going to get incredible experience from this and learning how to do all sorts of things. And I get paid to do it. So awesome. And around the same time, I was also talking to a prop builder here in Toronto that they actually do work on some stuff you heard of. I think they're the prop builder for this, whatever current filming of Star Trek they're on. Lots of big budget. I don't watch Star Trek. I don't know. Lots of big
lost.
Sorry. They do lots of flames, lots of breakaway glass, prop weapons, all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I would love to see what both of these industries are like to work in. So yeah, that's as the world stopped, that's kind of where I was. And I've just throughout all this, I've just been accelerating my own kind of commission work, making of videos, trying to like build a portfolio and skills all around the same time. And and I've started picking up a bike delivery, which is great. It's like I do all my making stuff. I make videos, and then I can log onto the app whenever, get a few hours of exercise, make money really efficiently because it's hard work, but like, sorry, what was that?
And you get free food.
Well, if you steal it. Yeah, so it's kind of a nice gig right now. And also I've been doing some videography work for Eden's mom's yoga studio because they can't have in-person classes right now. So that's been a nice, like, steady gig as well. So kind of all over the place right now. And like,
exactly. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very much like in the process of figuring out what I want to do with my life. And I know the avenues I want to go down, like starting a business, like starting a business and creative design. It's just like, how is this going to manifest? So I don't know. I'm very grateful that I'm able to do this right now and that I don't have debt that I need to pay off. And I can live frugally, and yeah, it's cool. It's a great adventure.
That does sound like so much fun. It's like, it's so crazy. Like, you're the only one. Well, I guess Adam he is the mechanic for the train, but you're the only one that's on the podcast that the real job is making things. And their side job is the whatever, like, it's delivery right now, but it could be anything. Like tomorrow,
like we don't have to talk about the relative income of those two things, but I do see the bike delivery as more of the side hustle.
Yeah. Well, like, if you continue with YouTube, like, that could become your thing, right? Like, that could become your full-time job.
It could. I wouldn't like to depend on that because, like, I try to be realistic in how infrequent YouTube, I don't know. I see it as infrequent as like making a living through doing YouTube. But what I do see is through all of my passions of building and doing custom work, that this is all leading towards something great.
Yeah.
In however form that may take.
Well, any way you look at it, you're the only one that the real job is making, and their side job is the boring stuff.
Yeah. You know, actually, it's pretty fun. Like, I really enjoy the bike delivery. Like, it's kind of the perfect thing to, you know, if any maker out there needs a side hustle, I would highly recommend bike delivery because it gets you active. You get to just like bop around. I mean, if the trope that many makers are introverts is true, you just put in a podcast and ride around. You have these little quick positive interactions. Yeah, I mean, during a pandemic, it's a little tricky. Like, you got to be, I'm wearing a mask and sanitizing my hands constantly, but in the non-pandemic world, that's much more accessible.
I can beat you there.
Okay.
So I can listen to podcasts my whole shift without issue. I do nothing in between stations. So I literally like honestly, like, if my job, if I don't have any issues with the train throughout the day, I literally stand up, push a button, blow a whistle, push a button, sit down, stand up, push a button, and do it. Like, that's all I do all day. Mm-hmm. So I get paid. I honestly get paid. Like, I'm not going to talk money. I'm not going to talk figures, but I get paid pretty good money, and I have an easy job.
But if the shit hits the fan, that's when.
Yes, as long as nothing goes wrong, I have an easy job. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not going to go into the gruesome details, but I'm also the person that has to get down on the tracks and check if someone gets hit, if they're alive, and give first aid. I'm also the first aid officer of the train, all that sort of stuff. I've seen dead bodies, there is more to it, but if everything goes right, my job's pretty simple.
Do you guys have a lot of cows in Australia?
A lot of camels, right? Doesn't Australia have the most camels in the world?
I have no idea about camels.
No, there can't be. That can't be right.
No, I'm almost sure of any country in the world, Australia has the most camels.
I think we have a lot of, maybe in the desert. I don't know.
Is that the part that's nearer to Ottawa than it is to Hawaii? I just want to make sure what part of Australia has the camels. I just want to understand.
I'm going to put this referenced in the show notes, just so I prove my own credibility.
Yeah, cows. Maybe it's more just like stray animals in general, not really cows.
I was listening to the Make Your Own Way podcast, and one of the guys on there works on trains. Alan Scannell. Anyways, he talked about like how often he's in Ireland and how often they hit cows. The trains hit cows.
Well, you know the old trains, how they have like that grate thing on the front that comes to a point. Yeah, well, that I can't remember what it's called. Like
a cow catcher.
Cow catcher.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's the whole point of that. But our trains are just flat on the front now.
So it's more of an explosion than a moving out of the way.
Again, I don't want to get into gruesome details.
Oh God. Okay, fair enough. Hey,
yeah, I will say, and I don't really want to say it, but I would say that we hit people more than anything else.
Oh,
that's gruesome.
It's pretty bad here.
Yeah.
And during the 2000. No, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to put that thought in this.
Let's not go down that road. I'm very sorry that I brought it up. So, what do I do for a living? Let's move on to something where hopefully positive. And if you guys have any questions along the way, let me know, because I'm going to be using words that aren't English.
He's going to be using words that I didn't know existed.
I have a question for everyone after.
Okay. You're going to have a question after, okay. So I'm going to start like Morley. I'm going to start with university. I went to university as well for engineering. I didn't end up finishing that degree, but it was where I started. I then transferred into doing business school, where I learned about marketing and boxes and stuff like Vincent was talking about. And I ended up deciding to specialize in human resources. And I ended up working in human resources for a bit, so it's like hiring people. But I was working for the government, so human resources in the government of Canada is... I work for the government of Canada. It's different.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But I worked for a place that I really believed in, which was the Indian Residential Schools settlement, Indian Residential Schools Resolution Canada, which they worked on the settlement agreement for the boarding schools that were operated for, like, basically by the churches, but also some were non-church related, where they tried to assimilate Aboriginal children or Indigenous children in Canada. And the famous quote is they tried to take the Indian out of the child. So I was working in HR for that, trying to hire people to work on that. But then eventually I ended up working in trying to help resolve those claims. It was a lot of basically, so to go down bad, to go straight right back into non-positive stuff, I dealt with a lot of physical and sexual abuse of children. That was what my job was for a long time, was dealing with that and trying to help resolve claims of those people reliving those experiences. But
yikes.
Yeah.
That would take a massive toll on you. I could imagine. What? Yeah.
As he takes a drink.
So, anyways, it's government work. That's what government's there for. That's why you need them, because that's who should be working to help resolve those types of things, even though, the government was the one that ran the schools. Anyways, we won't get into like this nitty gritty of that, but that taught me a lot about, like the bad things that can happen. And you got to believe people from the beginning, because, when people come forward with something, there's a good chance there's a good chance they're not lying. Anyways, start from a position of belief. It was what I got from that, because a lot of times it was true. From that, I moved on to different government roles, like working in access to information, and I eventually stumbled upon this place called an Ombudsman. How many of you guys have heard of the term Ombudsman before I've ever said it?
I would appreciate a redefinition, even though you've told me already.
Okay, so Vincent, you've heard of the term ombudsman?
Mm-hmm. Because I worked for my school paper, and I was a journalism minor. So,
well, there you go. And Adam, you've heard it before I said it?
Yeah, it's a big thing over here.
Yeah, it's a big thing in Australia, which is great. And Australia has some of the best training. And one day maybe I'll get over to Australia to get some training from some of the people. Anyways, to reiterate it for our listeners and for Morley, ombudsman is a Swedish term that basically means citizen's representative. But what they're really about is we're the advocate for fairness. So what we really want is to make sure people are treated fairly, whether it's, people have a bad, like they get fired. We make sure it was done fair. Not that they get what they want, but that it's fair. It's hard to give some examples of what I do without giving away where I work, but no one really listens to this, so it doesn't really matter. I work for the military ombudsman in Canada, and so we deal with people who are getting posted all over Canada or the world. We deal with people who are getting released for different reasons, medical misconduct, whatever. And we just try and make sure that people don't have unfairness. That's what I do right now.
Stepping a bit on that. So over here we've got ombudsmans for pretty much everything. So we have a fair work ombudsman. So if you are fired for no reason, unfair dismissal, you would call the Fair Work Ombudsman. They would then investigate and all that sort of stuff. We have an ombudsman for warranty issues when you buy something. You'd call them, there's a range of ombudsmen.
Yeah.
Pretty much, they're like your private investigator for certain issues.
Right. So I'm an investigator. That's my title, but I don't feel like investigator describes my work appropriately because the majority of my time is actually conflict resolution and complaint handling. It's more that.
Yeah, in the U.S., ombudsmen are generally part of corporations, and they act as the public voice inside the corporation. So the New York Times has an ombudsman. It's probably one of the most popular positions at the paper, the one that gets the most. They're supposed to operate outside of the editorial staff and all that, and then they're supposed to keep the paper honest, allegedly. We can debate how honest any media really is, but their whole position is to say the coverage on this issue was good, the coverage on this issue wasn't good, or sometimes they'll take advice from readers and stuff and just act in the interest of the readership to make sure that the coverage was as fair and journalistically and has as much journalistic integrity as possible. So,
yeah,
I would have never known there was someone that did that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Neither. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny because most people don't know. And there's there's different ombuds and there are different levels of ombudsmanry out there on whether or not you're private or government or whether you're legislated or just the NHL had an ombudsman. It wasn't a real ombudsman. They had an ombudsman in title, but it didn't. And the NHL for Adam is the National Hockey League. They called it national, even though it also includes two countries. Anyways,
it's funny. I actually prefer American sport than Australian. I watch NFL. I watch NHL. I'm starting to get into baseball. Can't stand Australian football.
So the main things about ombudsmanry is that you're independent, that you're impartial, that you're confidential, and that you have an ability to investigate. Because if you don't have the ability to investigate, you don't have anything, and then all that breeds to your credibility.
Is that a word?
Sorry, which?
Is that a word? Ombudsmanry?
Yeah.
You love that word too? Every time he said it, I've just gone,
every time he says it.
He said it with enough confidence. I'm with it.
Yeah.
It's a word in my world. It may not be a word in the real world.
BS expressed confidently is true. That's the way it works.
Right, and that's how you have a job. No,
can't argue. Nothing.
No, I completely agree with that statement. That is how I have gotten as far in my life as I have, is that I just say things with confidence. People believe me. I don't know why.
The second you say something that's complete nonsense and another person gets on board, it's no longer complete nonsense. So, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Is your low standard for the day.
Yeah. If I don't want to go too much into what I do, but that's basically what I do. And then on the side, I don't really sell anything, but I make stuff every once in a while.
You make really good YouTube videos too. I'm just going to say it. I'll say it for the rest. You make really good YouTube videos.
Thank you.
Mr. Monetization over here.
Yeah, really.
I haven't got monetized yet. I'm getting close. Morley, I think, is the only monetized person.
I'm just raking in those YouTube dollars.
Well, and he's
$1 a day, baby.
Got the most Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
Thank God for the podcast. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd make nothing on content.
So that's actually a good segue to my question. So I'm curious to know how, because we're all doing this. I do my YouTube for fun, but eventually I want to hopefully make something of it. What's everyone's end goal? Is your social media? Do you want to eventually make enough to quit your job? Will you quit your job and all that?
Let's start with Vincent.
Yeah,
I would love for Because We Make to blow up to a level where I don't have to do anything but that. I would love it. It would make me the happiest human being on earth. Do I think that's ever going to happen? Look, I'm realistic. The answer is, of course, it's not going to happen. Don't be stupid. However, the realistic thing is that making probably could become my full-time gig if I was able to devote full-time time to it. I noticed when we were working from home during COVID and I was able to steal a few minutes here and there, I was able to make a lot of money in my downtime from my day job when I was doing my stuff. Because my stuff was always accessible. So any downtime was spent on my stuff. So I don't know if content creation is ever going to make me a salary that's respectable enough that I could live on. But I have a feeling that if I was able to devote full time to making things, I could probably make that work. Because I would be driven as hell to make it work,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you're the only one with a check mark beside their name on YouTube, so
isn't that great?
That means
that you
so
are much. That pisses people off. Dude, just 2 days ago on a post on the King of Random, I commented and somebody goes, "Forget what you asked. How the hell do you have a check mark?" And I went, none
Man,
of your business.
on every social network, verification is such a silly thing. You look who's verified on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you how I got verified. I'll just tell you how I got verified So a couple of years ago when Google Plus was created, okay, when it was first created, they gave you the option of uploading your driver's license and you got a check mark. And since Google Plus was the login mechanism for every single service on Google, you then got verified on any service on Google that used your name. So that YouTube account, not the one that I had and then deleted, that YouTube account, the one that's verified, was one that I verified with Google Plus. And when they took away Google Plus, they never took away the verifications.
Makes sense. Because that would be really hard to take away someone's check mark.
Yeah, so I have a check mark with 130 subscribers on YouTube, and it aggravates the hell out of people. I love commenting on things because I have the check mark, and they're like, "How'd you get the check mark?"
Right. I don't even think Jimmy DiResta has a check mark.
No, nobody I watch has a check mark. It's brilliant.
So I have to be honest, I didn't even know YouTube did check marks.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't.
Well, they don't anymore. That's the other brilliant thing. It's wait, how are you verified? How are you? It's great.
You have to be contested.
You have to be Susan.
Verified. Yeah.
You have to be Susan. You have to be Susan Wojcicki or Wojcicki or whatever her name is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like pissing people off.
That's fun. It's too bad it doesn't come with monetization. The old days of monetization were way easier.
I was monetized on my old account. I kept this one because I had the check mark. I didn't make a very good decision.
personal accounts was monetized, but they took it away.
I'm still in the partner program. This account was in the partner program, but they took away the monetization when I didn't hit the standards because I wasn't uploading videos anymore. But,
yeah, I'm in the partner program, but I'm not monetized.
No, we're not worth it, Adam. Let's be honest. We're worth nothing.
Oh, guys.
Well, this took another turn for what's going on here?
We ain't got that Morley money.
Yeah.
Welcome to
That's his real name. It's Money, not Morley. It's Money.
Yeah.
It's my middle name.
Is your plan to make social media your full-time job, Morley? Or do you want to keep being a pro?
I don't know. Here's what I do know. Like, I really like making videos, and it's been a constant throughout my life. Like, I grew up with YouTube, right? I'm 23 years old. I started watching YouTube when I was like 11 years old, when it was started coming up. And I started making videos when I was like 12 years old. It's always something I've enjoyed doing, and I'm like, it's definitely something I really enjoy participating in. And I find myself, like with these yoga videos, it's like, oh, this is something I can do very efficiently, that I'm good at, that I enjoy. And I'd love to build that as to whatever end it may be. But I have like a lot of things that I'd like to do in my life. And I think that will just be like a component of it. I'd like to do that in concert with custom work. And various fantastical, whimsical business ideas.
Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be like the type of person who just like, I created something and now it's on display somewhere? Or do you want to be like, I created something because someone paid me for it?
I guess the former, in so many words. Like, I don't know. It's a hard question.
It's so crazy to think, like you said, about growing up with YouTube. I was just telling my son last night that when I was 10 years old, I remember the person across the road from me getting a mobile phone for the very first mobile phone I've ever seen. And it was like one of those brick ones that has like the bottom, like little plastic cover that covers the buttons on the bottom.
Not the Zach, past the Zach Morris phone for those listening from Saved by the Bell days.
He's talking no games, Motorola 550.
Nothing. Yeah. Like no games, like just calls and
no games. It had a screen like this big.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane for me to think that like when I was young, that like the mobile phones weren't a thing. I'm not that old. Maybe I am, but
I'm older.
I remember
Grant won't tell us his age.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I remember my first phone. I had to buy it myself. It was a Motorola Peanut phone, so you guys can try and date it based on that. And I had an awesome little belt clip holster for it, and I was super cool. Before that, though, I had a fake cell phone. When I was in grade 9, I had a StarTech, but it wasn't a real StarTech. It was a fake like model phone from the display phones that didn't actually work, and I pretended it was a real phone to be cool. That didn't work. Yeah.
I'm going to say you're not that much older than us. Or than
no,
me.
I'm not. I'm pretty much the same age as you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I guess maybe just to boil down my answer a little more is, like, I don't want to make any grand declarations of what I want to do, because I could see myself doing all these different things. I could see myself going back to engineering at a certain point if certain things happen. But I do know that, like, long term in my life, I would like to create the things that I want to create and be able to work on my own terms and however that manifests. But that's maybe as definite as I can get.
That's cool. So you're open to all the possibilities. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna niche down at this uncertain time.
Well, I'll say, so I would love for YouTube and all that to be my full-time job, but I'm not going to say how much I make, but I don't make six figures. I'll say that. But I would have to make, I reckon, at least like $200,000 a year off YouTube and social media for me to give up my current job. Like that would be my breaking point. If I can't make that kind of money, then I would not quit my job, because I I earn more than what I need for, and I can do all my editing at work and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
Yeah, like you have like this little dream pocket of time where you're able to do things for the most part. And the nice thing about YouTube is, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? Like, if you don't get a video out 1 week, who cares, right? Like, if it ends up being your job.
Plus, that plus being able to justify the time. Like at the moment, I whenever I get spare time, I try and get in the shop, but like I can't just ditch my family. Whereas like if it was my full-time job, I have to be in there. I have to build because I have to make something. I have to make money.
That's a really good way of thinking about it, because I think a lot of people, especially my age, get really caught up in like they want to be in a certain position, but they don't recognize how that would have an impact on their own life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like, and it's great that you're recognizing like the situation that you're in and you're like, this is a good situation. I feel like I'm kind of in a similar way. It's like, I'm not making a lot of money right now, but I really like how my life is in this moment. And it's hard to like, because there's so much focus in our society on like how you're presented online. It's like, it's hard not to get caught up in the rat race.
Right. And
one
thing I've noticed as I've grown older is the more money I make, the same life I have. It doesn't seem to like, unless you become a millionaire overnight, you're living the same life basically. Like I have a 20-year-old car. When I was 16, I had a 20-year-old car. Actually, I had a 16-year-old car. I had a car from...
money I have.
I had a newer car when I was 16 than I have today. Right? Like, that's the crazy part about my life, is that nothing has changed. No matter... Like, obviously, I'm making a lot more money now than I did when I was 16 years old. Working at a hobby shop. Right? Like, making slightly above minimum wage. But my car is pretty much the exact same. Like, that's craziness.
Yeah, but your lifestyle changes. You have a house, you have family, you have kids.
Right, but I don't have any more free extra money, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I drink a lot more than I was at 16. I didn't drink then.
Well,
maybe if I gave this drinking up, I'd do better.
Is this a cry for help?
You're the first person to ask.
Hi, and welcome to the AA podcast.
So, all right. Well, I think that wraps about that whole thing up.
We're almost at an hour and a half.
Yeah. So I'm going to
start getting into like the depths of our psyches.
I think I'm going to move to the Clampmendations. And I'm going to ask again. I'm going to ask our guest to give a recommendation first. So what do you got, Vincent? What's your recommendation for the week?
Okay, so I know this one's probably going to be a little bit US-centric, but I just started dealing with them, and they're a great company, and I would highly recommend them. In my area, for whatever reason, and I don't understand it, you would think it would be much less difficult, it's really hard to get hardwood. The best I'm able to go to the store and buy is maple. I can buy as much maple as I ever want to have, which is why almost every cutting board you see from me is 90% maple. I started dealing with a company called Bellforest at bellforestproducts.com. It's BELL forestproducts.com. And what a great company. They have literally every wood you could ever imagine, and the prices are really, really reasonable. They'll ship it. I think if you order more than $100, they'll ship it to you for free. So really nice hardwood. I've ordered maple, Purple Heart, and walnut from them, and like they have like these bundles of like the one bundle I bought is 20 board feet, and it was like $120 for 20 board feet of maple. It's sanded on 3 sides, 1 rough edge, but it's plenty. I mean, it's a good supply if you're just wanting to stock up on stuff. So that's what I did with it. I stocked up on a bunch of different woods, and the quality is really exceptionally good. The boards are straight, they're clear, and they're nice. So yeah, and they had a little bit of a snafu with getting the Purple Heart from their supplier. So they combined one of my other orders with it and sent my order with faster shipping a little earlier to make up for it. And then they shipped the Purple Heart by itself for free. I mean, they really it's a really good company. And I've been really happy dealing with them. And I'm probably going to keep ordering my hardwood from them because it's easy. It just comes to my door. So bellforestproducts.com. Great company.
Can I just say that I hate you all?
Yeah, I just
Camp
watched.
you're tired of Camp for Laurel?
I just watched.
cheap it is.
Yeah, I just watched Fix It Fingers, his video on like where to get wood, and he was talking about the prices of wood there and why MDF is so like used in Australia. And I went, MDF for me is the same price as plywood, or more.
There must be some like local product that's really cheap that you can get that we can't get.
I don't think so.
Like
I get so pissed off when I go like on the, like, especially on the trains. Like if we go through a station, they're doing construction. They use plywood boards to like board everything up, and I'm just like, there's so much money right now just getting wasted on plywood that I could have, and it literally just goes to the tip when they're done. Like,
yeah,
sucks.
It happens here too, but it's the same price as MDF, so we don't care.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
All right, so Adam, then you're very vocal right now, so it's your turn.
All right, so I'm going to Clampmendation a music YouTube channel. I think lately you can't use their music for free, but their older music you can, and I actually have used their music a few times in my videos. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but their name is Neffex, Neffex. And they do like rap style hip hop, like R&B, rap, hip hop stuff.
Word to your mother, straight up, no diggity.
But yeah, they're really good. They bring out new music all the time.
That's
cool.
Yeah,
and I found them because I was trying to find like royalty free music, and then I don't know. I listen to them when I work out.
Nice. I used to use the Free Music Archive, which I think was down for a while and then came back. But oh my god, I would spend so much time like slogging through that. You could find some gems, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I use Epidemic for
music.
Well.
I use Epidemic as well.
It's so expensive, but
it's worth it.
The music selection is so much better.
And it has a great UI.
Right, and that too. Well, yeah. Anyways,
it's a lot better than a lot of other sites.
Yes, it's so much better. But they recently went to this like all
black and white. Yeah, it's hard. I don't like it as much. I like the old layout better.
But
you guys, you're not a dark mode everything guy.
I'm a dark mode everything guy, but it's not black. It's like super dark gray. You know what I mean? Like that's I don't know. I just like
the theme song. The theme song from Because We Make is actually from Epidemic Sound. So there you go.
Well, the theme song from this is from TF Turning. And we're going to thank him right now before I forget.
I've actually just, my last video is, it is all black. Are just the same 3 songs. I've just been reusing them.
Yeah. It's, so I basically went and found all my favorite YouTubers and Shazammed their stuff and... And it's on Shazam. So if you're ever wondering what music I'm using in a YouTube video, Shazam tells you what it is. Go on Epidemic. You can download it and make your own YouTube videos with exact same things as Bob from I Like to Make Stuff.
There's nothing sacred, Grant.
Nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred.
I at least got my music from a non-maker channel.
No, hey now. I don't know what it was. I just went like looking for music, found a song I liked, and I went, that's like, I don't know why I like this. And then I watched the next time I watched I Like to Make Stuff video, I went, I use that in my video because I downloaded one of his like 6 songs that he likes to use.
We were watching there was a video one of the makers just put up one a little while ago, and I got tagged in a comment on it. Sam from Urban Goods tagged me in the comment. He goes, "Hey, that sounds familiar." And I turned it on, and it was Spaced Out, which is the theme from Because We Make. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Like hearing my theme song on another, like on a video, it's like there's just like cognitive dissonance all over the place. It's so weird.
I really... like a big part of my process is finding the music for my videos, and I like really like spending time to do it. And I always find it so interesting when I find someone that uses the same song. And I'm always just like, wow, like this is, it's so crazy because it's just like such an integral part of the video and they just do it in a completely different way.
I've heard songs from the YouTube Media Library on TV shows.
Oh, yeah. They used one of Kevin MacLeod's songs, Motherlode, they actually used on Forged in Fire one time. Oh, wow. And I actually emailed Kevin. I'm like, hey, dude, did you see your song was on Forged in Fire? Wrote, no, that's so cool. I'm going to go grab it now. Thanks. So.
Yeah. You should have sued him.
I literally spend more time looking for music than anything else I do in my video, and I feel like I use the same song every time.
Yeah, like, which is why I just started using the same song every time.
Right, but yeah.
We all do it.
Well, we're not saying his name, but the guy that Vincent talked about before, he uses the exact same song every single video.
I do. I did. Made for Makers, it was 30 videos of the same song on loop, so I readily admit it.
In all honesty, like, who's really going to care? Like, people are watching that individual video. They don't care about the music.
Exactly.
Well, I skipped over 30 times the exact same song. It was great.
Oh, yeah, because Grant watches everything in, like, ×4.
Yeah.
I thought we were friends, buddy. I thought we were friends.
Well, I can't. It's over your intro. Like, what do you want me to do? I watched your whole video, but the intro. I already saw it once. How many times do I got to see an intro?
30. It's part of my viewer stats, damn you.
Okay,
it's
well,
like,
you know what?
Next time I'll show on Netflix.
I'll be the guy that stops out at 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
You know how many times I've skipped any part of a Grant video? 0.
Oh,
feel guilty. Feel guilty.
Guilt is here.
The guilt is real.
All right, so Morley, what's your Clampmendation?
So this week I was blown away by Ben Ueda's The Floating Bed he's building. He mentioned it on the Modern Maker podcast last week, and I was really intrigued because I couldn't really visualize how it would all come together, like the floating mechanism he was talking about. But it looks super cool.
I saw Jessup was her Instagram post has her like laying on it. Oh no, it was her latest vlog video has her on it. Yeah, I still don't know how it works, so I'm excited. I think for that.
He might have the video up by the time this episode comes out, but he essentially tied it into the wall, like into the studs, and then he integrated a 1.5 inch thick piece of acrylic somehow. And I think he kind of put it near the foot of the bed to act as a second support. I love that juxtaposition of like the live edge slab and the very like white, the white bedspread. I love that kind of contrast.
I haven't seen that yet, and I can't remember how to spell his name. But is it like John Malecki's floating table?
I can neither confirm nor deny, but I can Google.
John. Oh, that's how you spell you either.
I've only ever seen part of it because I watch Jessup, but it looks super cool.
Yeah, and Adam, it's nothing like that. Is that like a 10 Segurity thing that John Malecki did?
Yep.
Oh, it's so weird, eh?
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so that is my recommendation. I think it's going to be a really cool video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my recommendation is it's going to be Good Clean Fun. Nice. It's a Nick Offerman book. I've got all of the Offerman books now because for my birthday I got one. But got Gumption, the last one that I needed. But Good Clean Fun was something that I got because I just kind of like, I came across Nick Offerman as actually being a woodworker, and I said, I want to know everything about this. And he had just put out Good Clean Fun as like this textbook for woodworking, which as much as it's not a textbook, it has a lot of great little projects, like the bottle opener that I actually sent to Adam was straight out of this book. And I just think it has a lot of great information out there for first-time woodworkers, and for any level of woodworker. it's got great information in there. So I think everyone should go get Good Clean Fun. It's not an audiobook. Don't get it on an audiobook.
No, it has great illustrations.
Yeah, you need the pictures. They're the thing that makes it really good. I heard someone's like, "Oh, I should go get that on an audiobook." I was like, "No, don't do that."
I have never got an audiobook, and I really don't plan to.
Yeah.
They have their place, but this is not it.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, like, that book might be like the largest influence that actually got me like consistently making projects while at school. It also introduced me to Jimmy DiResta.
Me too.
Yeah. I know. I'm sure the projects in it are great, but I got a completely different thing out of it. Like, it was way more just like inspirational and interesting for me than like, I'm not going to make any of those projects. They're really cool though.
I made one of the projects. That was it. Like, other than that, like, and it was a bottle opener, and because as everyone could tell, I'm an alcoholic, so I needed to make that. But all the rest of the projects don't involve alcohol, so I didn't make them.
Is that so? That book, is that like about his life, or is that?
It's about woodworking.
Just woodworking.
He kind of like profiles different people that have worked in his shop. They have some project instructions, some stories. It's a good mixture of stuff. Yeah. It's like a solid coffee table book.
Yeah, it's a great it's as much as it is about the projects, it's about the people. So you can actually read it. It's not like a textbook where it's like, cut this at 10 degrees and then do that. It explains why they're doing it. And I think it's really great in the kind of like how to come up with a really good project based on what you have around you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, at this point, normally we'd be reading reviews, but because we got a guest here, I'm gonna skip it this week, and also
you just don't want to do an Australian accent.
I don't want to do it. Yeah. So
you didn't escape it, Grant. You just put it off 1 week.
Right, and next week I'm not a host, so
wait, Morley has to go
back to Morley.
And I'm happy for the challenge. It'll just give me a chance to refine.
How about you reread Vincent's review and then do his accent?
I don't really have an accent, do I? I hope I.
That's what we all say.
No one thinks they do. Similar part of the state, so it's too subtle.
Making podcasts after a while all start to sound the same. It's people talking about tools and whatever. These guys have a fun... I'm not doing it anymore. That wasn't it at all. That was nowhere near it.
It's not a Grant reading stuff.
Okay, well, I tried to do something. Anyways. Just if you leave a review, I want you all to know that it doesn't mean that you will later be on the podcast. I just want to clarify that.
Well, that was part of that was why I did it. It was an ethical bribe. We're trying to get on the podcast. It worked.
Yeah.
Success.
Anyways, we're going to move to the any other business section of the podcast. So I want to see if there's any other business from any of our people.
I was going to ask you guys, have you seen Because We Makes challenge? And are you doing it?
Yeah.
I didn't even have to plug it. I love you guys.
So as soon as I said that, Vincent started shaking his head, and I went, Vincent, come on. Don't shake your head at this. That's why I said AOB. So the Enlighten Us challenge, a light bulb went off in my head as soon as I said that. So if you've ever thought of making a light that'll actually light something up, not just something that has lights incorporated in it. That's not good enough.
We were so worried that we were going to get 50 million like cutting boards with like LED strips in them, or just dumb stuff with LED strips attached and go, look, it lights up. And like, so we had to make it really, really clear. So like, we're looking for like light fixtures, lamps, something like that. So,
oh, you mean I can't put chevrons next to my door and add LEDs?
I mean, you could, but it wouldn't count. Not telling you not to. I'm just telling you it wouldn't be an entry.
a little hint into mine. So I've had a lamp planned for a couple of years, year or two, and it was actually going to be whatever it's called. I was actually going to put it into the bent wood challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
it didn't happen, so.
It didn't happen, so now I can do it for...
My big panic was that no one was going to participate, and from what I've seen, that's literally the opposite of what's happening, and I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. Like,
people
you're
love
going to get
challenges,
inundated
myself
with...
included.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that the episode of the podcast that drops after we get them all, I want it to just be all about, so we can really just talk about all the entries. I know it's going to suck for people, but I'm going to try to get them all up on a page so people can follow along as they watch the podcast.
What's what I like, Modern Maker, they normally do like a video where they go through them all, and all this. It's good because you get your name out there whether you win or not.
Yeah, we want to promote anyone
gives you
that's
interest.
kind enough.
Yeah.
I can't believe the response that it's gotten. I'm a little insecure, I'm not gonna lie. So when we put this out, one of the reasons it took so long to kind of get it out was because I was scared to launch it, because I was like, God, we're gonna put this out there and no one's gonna want to do it. And like within it, the 1 week we were supposed to put it out, I actually got a message from someone. He said, hey, you didn't put the link out for the rules. I'm like, holy crap, somebody actually wants to do it. I gotta get the rules out. So
when you mentioned it, I was super excited because I've had a lighting project. You can't you can see like the blur from my light. It's as much as the sun from Adam's thing, but I need to replace that with something that doesn't like inflict your eyes with pain. I actually have paper over top of it because it is so bright. I want to do it. I've committed to doing it. I will do a Because We Make challenge because it now exists.
Yeah, so we are definitely... you can go to becausewemake.com/2020 challenge to see all the rules and the criteria and what we're going to use. And remember, late submissions will be ignored. That's everyone's favorite line in the rules. Late submissions will be ignored.
That's like all my professors at school.
I love 2020 challenge because it's like you can see clearly now.
Yeah. Well, now you have light, so yeah. 2021 challenge isn't going to look as good, though.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it Enlighten Us challenge because I didn't think people could spell Enlighten Us very easily, but, I was hoping.
I'm pumped.
I don't know if I just missed you saying it, but when's it due? When's the date?
August. I think we said August 17th is the date. I'll check it while Morley talks, and I will give you the date.
I was going to say I'm pumped. I've had the use case for mine planned for a little while. And then I had a first design that I thought was great, and I was like, nah, not so great. And now I have a solid design that I'm very, very excited about.
August 17th, 11:59 Eastern time. So, yeah. That's cool. The reason is it's going to give us some time to get it together for the podcast.
2 months, exactly, because we're wait, not from when we release this, but from when we're recording it.
Mm-hmm. It worked out that it was 2 weeks from drop date of the podcast that we announced it on.
What? It's the 19th. What do you mean?
Oh, you Australian people in the future.
From the future.
It seems like a lot of people already have like an idea in their head before, like they already had a lamp planned.
Well, we did talk about it on the podcast for like 3 weeks before we actually dropped the rules. So people were like, can you just make it official so we know what the criteria are? And yeah, okay.
Hey man, I remember when you mentioned it the first time, there was snow on the ground here.
Ooh.
And it was not the very end of winter yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It was. We did mention like in February. It was like in February.
Yeah,
February
and March.
Yeah. And then we just then we just had a bunch of guests and it felt rude.
No, it's cool. Like it's allowed, I think a lot of people, myself included, to really like brood about it.
Yeah.
And
so for the
I think it's good. It gets people excited because it's like, when's this coming?
Yeah, I think actually, Grant, I think it unintentionally, that's exactly what ended up happening. That if you were a real listener to the podcast, you had a big advantage because you had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
If you find it today, well, you can still enter, but you didn't have like a couple of weeks to think about it beforehand. So,
but it's even just like the Rockler Bentwood challenge of the last year. Like, you may not watch every episode of Modern Maker, whatever. I don't even know where it was announced, but you may not watch that. But the blow up around that is how I found them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So that's that's what I love about the challenges.
Yeah,
and like
lots of cross pollination.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Well, here's hoping.
Wow.
Awesome.
Anyways, on that note, on the cross pollination note, I'm going to say this has been an awesome podcast. I'm going to say it's time for us to get going. And thank you very much, Vincent, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great to be on here talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you. And I'm not really good at outros, so goodbye.
Bye.
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 Okay, well, apparently you can't find us anywhere.
Oh, yeah, right.
No one gets to plug anything.
Okay, you got to edit that out.
No, I'm not editing anything out.
Nothing gets edited. That's not the way this works.
We've talked about this before.
Edit the swear word.
Oh, yeah, I'll beat the swear word.
Okay, so, Vincent, where can we find you?
The easiest way to find me is if you go to vincentmferrari.com. All the links to all my socials are there. And I have a weekly podcast with Ethan Carter called, believe it or not, Because We Make. And that drops every Wednesday morning. You can find that in any podcatcher that you get your podcasts from.
And how about you, Morley?
You can find me at YellRonBlog everywhere and at YellRonBlog.com.
And Adam?
And you can find me at Make and Mackie on everything. And yeah.
All right, and you can find me at The Grant Alexander everywhere, except for the places that don't count like Twitter.
And you can find us all collectively at Clampcast on Instagram.
Exactly. Goodbye! I suck at intros. A Snapple ruining it.
I don't drink anymore.
I don't drink any less.